It's Monday morning. Time to go to work. Blue-collar worker, time to wake up and roll. Get that coffee in your system, get your mind and your soul. Boots by the doorway, hard hat riding shotgun. Sun ain't even up yet, but the day's already begun. Steel toes hit the gravel, cold air fills your lungs. Another day to build it right, another job to get done. No shortcuts taken, no easy road we choose. We earn every dollar, got too much pride to lose. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the site and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America great again. Desk or office space for us, no climate control routine. We work in dirt, steel and concrete, where real lives lived and seen. Using our heads, hands and backs, every move has got a cost. Measure cuts and steady hands, no room for getting lost. Blueprints in the morning light, changing plans by noon, solving problems on the fly, getting it done real soon. Weather don't stop nothing, rain, cold or blazing heat. We show up ready every day and stand on our own 2 feet. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the side and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America great again. Building the new infrastructure to hold the future, laying down the work that time won't erase. Building up again, from sending rockets to housing the many every place. From highways stretching miles and miles to homes where families grow. We don't just build for today, we build for years we'll never know. You see it when you drive by, steel going up, concrete being poured. That's us, that's blue collar, building a newer, stronger foundation, rising higher every day, building stronger, higher and better. We don't back down or fade away, making America great again. Every beam and every stone, we don't just build the country, we build a place called home. Blue-collar worker, time to get up and go. Boots on the ground, let's go to work.
morning, everybody. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. How's everybody doing this morning? This week, we're going to be talking about scaffolding and fall protection, along with our normal shenanigans. Go ahead and send me a chat. Let me know what's going on. You know, scaffolds give us access, but they also induce risk. You're elevated, you're exposed, and you're relying on a system that has to be built, inspected, and used correctly. Falls from scaffolds are one of the leading causes of injuries in construction, not because the system failed, but because it wasn't used or maintained the right way. Let's go ahead and do a roll call. Let us know where you're headed. Let me know where you're headed. Let me know what trade you're representing. Let me know if you're going to be working from scaffolding today. I'd like to know. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Morning Bubba. Every Monday morning, 5 a.m., we get together and get ourselves motivated to get through the week, get our week started, get motivated, get pumped up, and ready to get out there and perform our work in a safe, timely, and efficient manner, which builds pride in ourselves, our company, and our industry. But we'll be talking about scaffolding. And remember that height is the risk. It doesn't create risk. Complacency creates the risk. Anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. Go ahead and send me a chat. Check in. Let me know where you're headed. Let me know what trade you're representing. Now, I'm sure, as always, that some of us are picking up our crews. Picking up the crews. Yeah, you probably have to swing. Some of us got to swing by the shop and pick up tools, materials that we need for the job. Some of us are having to swing by the supply houses and pick up lumber and material. And some of us are just now wheeling into the old racetrack or quick trip, getting that first cup of coffee before we roll on to the job site. Most of us start around 7. That's why I do this thing at 5. You're just now getting rolling, just now getting in the truck, and you can put this on the Bluetooth and listen to it and get your mind right, and have the ability, if you've got some guys in the truck with you, they can type in a text. If you're a chat, or if you're sitting in the quick trip, you can send me a chat with a question, a comment, whatever. We're interested in all kinds of interaction. I'm interested in all kinds of interactions with you guys. So go ahead and check in this morning. Let me know what trade you're representing, where you're headed to, what kind of work you'll be doing today. And we've got all kinds out there, from infrastructure guys who are digging in the earth up to steel guys hanging the steel on a high rise. Let me know where you're headed and what you'll be doing today. Let me know if you're going to be working from scaffolding too. That is just what I picked this week. It's part of a 10-hour OSHA training. You know, when you do your 10 or 30-hour OSHA training, it's required that you cover subpart M. I think it's an hour and a half at least for the OSHA 10. But that's part of a series I'm doing over on the other channel, and I kind of want to incorporate that into our Monday morning uh, podcast. I guess that's what this is, live stream podcast. Opportunity for us to get together and yak about whatever comes up. And if you guys don't bring a subject forward, then I'll just continue with the script that I generated, and until somebody comes in with a question or a comment, and we'll change direction. No problem with that. All right. Once again, good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Put some background in there. There we go. All right. No dead airspace. All right. Let's talk about the phrase of the week. The phrase of the week is faithfulness over flash. You know, building a safety culture, being a part of a safety culture, it requires faithfulness over flash. You know, flash is big talk. And I've over my years, there's been plenty of guys come on there. I've heard them say, my job is to point and talk. I'm like, okay, point and talk. And then we'll get back to doing what we got going on. And I've seen other guys, you have your work plan out, and your guys are in the middle of performing their tasks that we talked about and scheduled for the day, and a guy roll in, be it a project manager, division manager, whatever, roll in and start pointing and redirecting guys right in the middle of their task. And we normally just, while he's there, do what he thinks needs to be done, and then we move back. I've made a couple people angry. I said, okay, well, if you're going to redirect our guys, we need to stop and have a safety meeting on this redirection. You're talking about people getting upset with me. Anyway, flash is big talk, and the quick wins, and cutting corners just to look good. And faithfulness is showing up prepared, doing inspections every day and following the process, even when it feels repetitive. The flash gets attention. Faithfulness gets results. You know, it's not what you do once that defines you. It's what you do every day, all day long. All right. Be sure and go ahead and send a chat and let me know what's going on. I'm trying to get myself motivated. I hadn't had my coffee yet. You know, it's you know, when you got a lot of time on your hands, you start paying more and more attention, or more time on your hands, and not a lot, but you start paying attention to your body, you know, and trying to get your lifestyle in order, and I guess to improve longevity and improve your mental health and keep your emotions in check. And one of those is the coffee routine. I'm sitting here right now jonesing for a cup of coffee. I got up a little bit before 4, and I guess according to what I'm practicing, the cortisol is out of my body. I'm pretty well hydrated by now, and I'm craving a cup of coffee, but it timed out that the coffee time that I can have, it's a 90-minute wait after you get up. You know, I get up and take my vitamins and hydrate real well with a big glass of water, brush my teeth, blah, blah, blah. But I wait an hour and a half for that coffee. Boy, that hour and a half wait sometimes. But then again, it's getting where I'm actually drinking less and less coffee. And I guess that's a Good thing. Drinking less and less coffee keeps the jitters down. Sometimes I'll feel like a nap mid-afternoon. But then again, you always have the crashes anyway after lunch or whatever. Excuse me. Everybody have a good weekend. What'd you do this weekend? Send me a chat. Me, I kind of laid around all weekend. I had grandson came over Friday night, and I made breakfast Sunday morning. This was Saturday morning, and visited with him till midday, and then kind of goofed around and for the rest of the day, and then yesterday, Sunday morning, I got up and I asked the wife, I said, "Do you want me to make you some breakfast?" She goes, "No." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay." She says, "It's cold in here." Yeah, it did get cold. And I said, "That's why I was going to make breakfast, kind of heat the house up. You sure?" And she goes, "Well, how about some biscuits and gravy?" So yesterday I made biscuits and gravy and heated up the house. And then after a little while, I put a roast in the oven and with some tomatoes, tomato and root vegetables, and put that in the oven and turned the oven on low and slow roasted that devil for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours at 250 degrees, and added some heat to the house and cooked dinner, and it smelled wonderful. And when we got ready to eat it about 5 o'clock, it was delicious. So there you go. Well, now yesterday I did get up at the appointed time, 4:30, and got down here to the studio and scripted this live stream, and scripted a couple videos. And I probably worked about 4 hours in the office yesterday, and then went up and, like I said, make that bottom roast, that bottom round roast, and watched YouTube videos, watched a little TV, chilled out after that. And today I got my regular routine. You guys are going to work, and today I'm going to take off the trash, go for a walk, and then I'm going to come back and dig a couple holes out back here. I've got some gardenia bushes that I took some cuttings off probably 3 or 4 years now, and they're probably a couple feet tall, and I'm going to transplant those into their permanent place in the garden. And I got some work to do on the deck. I had some work done, and they cut one thing short, and one of the posts short, and I'm going to elevate that. And my wife's got this metal chicken that I'm going to stand on that corner like he's a rooster out there looking over the anyway, that's what I'm going to do today. And I think we got some rain coming in. Let's check the weather real quick for you guys. 10-day. Yeah, well, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's a large chance of rain. Thursday, it looks like thunderstorms. So I've got some stuff I need to put in the ground. I put out some more corn. I think I want a couple rows of okra. And some rosemary and some more sunflower and things like that. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And then tomorrow is recording videos. Wednesday is editing. Thursday is another live stream. Anyway, that's kind of what I got going on. Man, come on, let me know what you're doing. I want to hear. I'm interested in what things people got going in their lives. One thing I do want to talk about is the most important tool on every job site. whether you're working from scaffolding or performing lifts or tying rebar or forming concrete, putting concrete forms together, there's one tool that all trades have, and it's the most important tool on the job site, and that's the PTP, the pre-task plan. That's your first tool to use every day and your most important tool every day. A good pre-task plan answers the questions: what are we doing today? How we're going to do it? What are the hazards associated with what we're doing? And how we're going to mitigate those hazards. It also outlines who's responsible. You're responsible for your own safety. It is your employer's education to make sure that you are properly made aware of the hazards associated with the work you're doing, and properly ensure that you're properly trained to protect yourself against those hazards. I've seen both sides of this story. Teams who come in and do not use the PTP, they just go to work, the superintendent's barking orders and expects everybody to remember what they're doing and what their hazards are, and sometimes they don't cover what the hazards are or anything like that. They just start telling people to get moving and making multiple micro corrections throughout the day to the worker's performance and his task. And then on the other hand, you have the foreman or the supervisor who creates a PTP on a daily basis, outlining exactly what the crew is going to be doing, and establishes time frames, hazards that they'll be faced with, and how to mitigate those hazards. And then everybody has to sign off on it, showing that they understand their work. If they don't understand it, don't sign it off. Let's talk a little bit more. But once everybody is understanding, now this is not a long drawn out process. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes or so to cover that. If you've got an experienced crew, if you have an inexperienced crew member, you attach him to someone who does have experience, and let him get trained by a trusted team member. But the point is, I have found that the teams that do participate in pre-task planning are far more safe, and they get their work more done in a more timely manner, and they work efficiently. So productivity goes up with the pre-planning, whereas with the teams that fail to do the PTP or the pre-planning, their productivity seems to bounce up and down and never gets really stellar or spectacular, or really it seems like it's just a highly unorganized workforce. You know the difference. You see the difference from my perspective, and that's just from years in the field. When the PT is done right, the job goes a lot smoother. As a reminder, a rushed plan creates a rushed mistake. Let's see what we got here, boys and girls. It is 5:19 in the morning. We've been at this for 20 minutes already. Holy moly. Probably longer than that. But anyway, welcome. Go ahead and send a chat. Let me know where you're going. If you've got a question about a safety item, we could talk about it. If you're unsure about scaffolding, scaffolding. We talk about this all the time. There's various kinds of scaffolding. There's Baker scaffolding. There's roller scaffolding. There's masonry scaffolding. And then there's engineered scaffolding, which could be, multi-stories high. and each one of them should be inspected. These people calling me wanting this assignment. Y'all hearing them? So I don't know if I see I get notifications all the time here, and I don't know if they're coming through on the stream or not when I've got the phone hooked up. If you want to call in, send me a message and we can call in and have a conversation. I think I've got that set up. I've not had much opportunity to test it out, and I would love to. But anyway, back to scaffolding. And those scaffolding need to be inspected. And to properly inspect a scaffolding, you got to be competent. And competency comes through knowledge, training, and experience, and that's the responsibility of your employer to assign the competent person for scaffolding inspection. Point being, if you're going to be working from a scaffold, make it your responsibility. Engineered scaffolding. A lot of companies require that all scaffolding be tagged and make sure that it has a green tag on it. Or if it's a yellow tag, make sure it's been inspected, and the yellow tag indicates that the scaffolding is in some way incomplete and may require additional protections while you're using it. Anyway, y'all probably know all that stuff, but I'm saying it for the guys who might not know it. And I'm sure there's one or two out there who may not be aware of that kind of thing. If you've got a question on scaffolding, I've got several videos, I believe, on scaffolding over at the other channel right here that you can certainly go to and get you some training, or you can send me a message, or my email address is on the string. I certainly welcome you to send me an email with any kind of questions or concerns. And we'll get you the information, get you references, and help train you up. There's nothing that says you can't be self-trained. You just have to be able to exhibit it through practical means. All right. Oh, man. Y'all excuse me while I stretch. I'm sure you're stretching a little bit sitting in that seat headed to the job site yourself and come to a stoplight or something. Stretching is a natural instinct when your muscles build up that lactic acid, and that's another thing. How many of you do stretch and flex on a job site? I used to not be a big fan of that several years ago. I thought, hell, we gonna get stretched when we get to working. And then as time progressed, I realized that stretching does a couple different things. When you're stretching together, doing your PTP meeting, and then you do your stretch and flex before you begin work, you start building a team. You start working together, thinking together, and moving together as a unit. And it increases motivation, increases flexibility. It decreases the potential of pulling a muscle early in the morning, start jerking on stuff and moving stuff first thing in the morning. And it's just all around a good thing. And it's just gentle exercises to stretch out those muscles and get the lactic acid out of the system and get you moving. It's part of a well-rounded job startup. So give it a shot, superintendents. Do that morning stretch and flex. It doesn't have to be all that complicated. Just stretch the major muscle groups. And, Josh and joke, and I've every job site, when they see that, if I'm new on a job site, I'll take the lead the first 3 or 4 days on the stretching exercises and start talking about, okay, who's going to lead it tomorrow? And if nobody volunteers, then I step up again. And eventually somebody say, I'll do it. And then before you know it, you got a different guy every day leading stretch and flex. And it turns out it's another leadership development exercise, and it just really works out. So keep that in mind as you go about your work day. I need to make some adjustments because I cannot see my darn clock. Hang on a minute. Y'all are so lucky. Get to watch me piddle around here. I got to keep track of time. I don't want to go beyond the allotted time. You know, they say consistency is part of something or another. So I want to remain consistent, and therefore I have to keep an eye on the clock. Speaking of keeping an eye on the clock, I am slightly behind in my script. So the next section that I have lined out to talk about is a job site challenge. Now, this is a thing that I learned many years ago, and it's along the lines of see something, say something, and it's called stop. This week's challenge is stop. If you're walking along and you're fixing to go start your new task and you're going through an unfamiliar area of the job site, or you're just walking, take a few seconds and stop and think what's going on around you. Make some observations and then readjust in your head what direction you're heading in. If you don't need to make any changes, just keep going the way you're doing, but go ahead and plan. Okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to make this step, and kind of talk through the steps in your head, and then continue on your way. It's just a way to kind of like us old folks. We'll walk into a room and go, "What'd I come in here for?" And you stand there and think, and you look around and you go, "Okay, I'm going to go do this." I need to go brush my teeth. Get up out of the chair after breakfast and take your plate to the sink, wash it up, and then head to the bathroom. And you walk in the bathroom and you go, "Well, I don't feel like I need to pee." And you stand there and do an assessment. Oh, yeah, I'm brushing my teeth. And while you're brushing your teeth, you can plan on how to get out of the bathroom. Anyway, say that we're talking about scaffolding this morning, and how do I put this stop program to practical use? So you're fixing to go do some work on some scaffolding, and you approach the entryway to the scaffold, the stair or the ladder or whatever, and stop and think, okay, has this thing been inspected? Where's the green tag at? Where's the tag at on this thing? Has it been inspected? It should be an inspection form in each and every entrance of a scaffolding. Okay, it's been inspected. Now do your own thing. Do I see any loose planks or any missing guardrails? Is the access properly built? Does this thing look like it's not overloaded? And if you see something like that needs to be addressed, don't walk past it. Say something, fix it. If it's a loose plank and you can move it and get it kicked into place, fix it. If you can't, say something, notify somebody, get some help, get that thing inspected, get it fixed, make sure it's safe for yourself and your coworkers. Because silence is where incidents grow. Just don't walk past something. Get that thing fixed. All right. So, the question is, why don't scaffolds ever lie? Just because they can't support false statements. Why did the trucker, the worker, trust the scaffold? because it had a solid foundation, just like his work ethic. And why don't experienced workers rush on scaffolds? Because they prefer steady paychecks over sudden stops. Amen, brother, on that one. Amen on that one. This young worker says, it looks fine to me. He didn't know crap from Shinola. And the old timer said, that's not what we're paid for. We're paid to know it's fine. So if a young worker, if you listen to people, and this was taught to me a long time ago, if somebody's standing there telling you how much they know, what they're really doing is telling you how much they don't know. So these young guys that come out there and they get to run in that trap, and that's cool. You want them to talk. You want them to have conversation. You want them to tell you, because then you can figure out where their weaknesses are and help them grow as a as a human and a team member and a construction worker for their career. Anyway, man, excuse me. Every morning, I don't know, man. I need to talk to my old quack. He might put me on some medication, giving me these old coughs and sniffles. Of course, I watched my father eating all these coughs and hacks and more susceptible to pollens and all that stuff. So maybe that's part of it. I'm just getting old and more susceptible to all the stuff that I used to have the energy to overcome. Anyway, I had a question. What's the most common scaffold hazard? Well, one answer might be improper setup or missing components, especially guardrails and planking. And another is, believe it or not, trip hazards on scaffolding. It's the workspace is limited up there. You don't have as much room, and there's a lot of tools. If you're doing some demo, removing soffit or fascia or putting in new windows, you've also got our laying brick, our masonry work. You've got a lot of stuff up there, and if you can't keep it organized and you have trip hazards, that's another big one when working on scaffolding. Another comment was most accidents happen when people assume someone else already checked it, and that's a very dangerous assumption. I don't care. Never trust it. Always do your own inspection. Are the tie backs properly anchored? Is there any movement in that scaffolding? What's the source of that movement? Now, they're going to have some movement, but if it's got some movement in it, go to where the tie backs are. That's where it's attached to the building. Every 30 feet, every 10 feet or something like that. I'll have to check the regulations. If you need to know that, send me a chat and I'll look that up, but it's required. Scaffolding is required to be attached to the building for stability every so many up, and I think it starts at 2 or 3 tiers high, and then every so often thereafter. But check those tie backs. If you see that a tie back is loose or it's become loose, sometimes they're bolted, sometimes they're wired. There's different various connections. You'll have to look at some of those. There's all kinds of connections, but if those connections to the tie back are loose, call the competent person and have that looked at and get it fixed. Just don't ignore things. Or if there's a missing toe board, mid rail, top rail, if there's any of that missing, let somebody know. Fix it. Don't let that hazard remain, because somebody else might not see that and put themselves at risk without understanding that they're in the middle of a risk, and you don't want to walk past a hazard and have somebody else walk right behind you and have an incident because you decided that somebody else can take care of it. I've done investigations where that was the case. Yeah, I saw that was loose, and I was going to go on and walk over here, and then old buddy fell and broke 3 ribs and a femur. And you got to live with that the rest of your life. So if you see something wrong, stop, fix it. If you can't fix it, notify the competent person, notify your supervisor, and stand guard over that thing till it gets done. It's your safety is far more important than getting that job done. Anyway, scaffolding. And there's other hazards on the job site. We're just concentrating on scaffolding today. But hazards don't, a trip hazard's not just on scaffolding. It's on just regular walking surfaces. And, if you're on a job site, famous architect one time, Frank Lloyd Wright, he was commissioned to build this campus, this office campus, several mid-rises and I think a high-rise in there too. And there was a fairly large courtyard between those buildings. And in his plans, a contractor came to him and said, you don't have any pathways or sidewalks in here for the people to get between buildings. And he acknowledged that was true, and he instructed the contractor to plant it in grass. And contractor planted it in grass. And after the complex opened, the campus opened, after a few months, where people were walking between these buildings in this campus, they created trails, walking paths, just by natural. And he came back and submitted another design for addition to paths, and he drew them out exactly where those natural paths were. Now, what's that got to do with trip hazards on a job site? You've been on a job site. Everybody's looking for the shortest distance between 2 points. And everybody's using that. And it creates a path. Well, that's the path that makes sure that, you keep tools and materials out of. Keep those paths clear. And I'm not just saying litter each side of the path, but those are the critical points. You should always make sure that your tools and materials are organized and put in an out of the way place so that you don't expose anybody to those trip and fall hazards. Anyway, moving right along. This is a section of the program that I call Tools and Tricks. And I think last week we were covering ladders, and we talked about proper storage of ladders. And we normally talk about stuff like that, but today is just a little different. This is about getting yourself motivated. Sorry about that. Mic noise, just trying to get it put in front of my face. Anyway, tools and tricks for the day. Working or going out there and doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. Let's talk about that. It's Monday morning, and I got up. It was 3:45. I got up this morning, and I could have laid in bed and I could have went to the bathroom and laid back down for 15 minutes and I might have fallen back asleep and the alarm went off and it had caught me in a wrong portion of a sleep pattern and I would have hit the alarm subconsciously and dozed back off and might have missed this morning. Instead of waiting on the alarm clock at 4 o'clock, I decided, well, go ahead and get started. So I got up and went in, took my meds and drank water and did my little routine, got dressed, made the bed and came down here and I got ahead of schedule by a few minutes. So I set up the live stream and got myself a little further down the motivation trail. But let's talk about it. Some days, by God, you just don't feel like it. You don't want to, man. You've been working all weekend. You had the kids' soccer. You had a family picnic on Sunday. You went to church on Sunday. You had to cut the grass. You had to paint the door. You had, man, you're tired. You're sore. You just lack of motivation. You're just not into it. And that, my friends, is where discipline comes in. You don't rise to your mood. You fall to your habits. Just remember, show up, do the work, follow the process, because consistency beats motivation every time. And that's what it requires. Some days, oh, what in the world? Some days, man, you're ready to get after it. You got a lot going. It's payday. You're going to collect your paycheck around 11 o'clock. You'll be able to go to lunch with your buddy. It's going to be a good day. You're going to have, you got work to do, but you know that it's Friday and you ain't got to work tomorrow. You got rain calling in. You got some travels planned for the weekend. Those days you're motivated. You're ready to get in. But on Monday mornings at 5 a.m., you may not be as motivated to get up. But you know what? That's where discipline comes in. And discipline makes you show up, do the work, and follow the processes, because consistency beats motivation every time. And you may not feel motivated, but you've got to do that. And you got to get in your own headspace and get your own headspace squared away. I've been adjusting this camera. But that motivation is a head game, and you can deal with a head game on your drive in. But the discipline to get up, get your teeth clean, whatever you got to do, and get out the door and get in that truck, fire that monster up, and get to moving. That's discipline. That you just do that part. Just get in motion. There's 3 things I tell myself every day. When I'm looking in that mirror, brushing my teeth, taking my meds, I look in the mirror and say, good Lord, what a good-looking man. And then I tell myself, this is going to be a good day. And I may be it's going to be a good day. And then the final thing I tell myself is keep moving. And that final statement is the discipline. Keep moving, keep going, keep doing. And all that other stuff is motivation. That's the head game. The motivation is the head game. That determines how you're going to face the day that discipline makes you get into. And that's the battle we all fight every day, boys and girls. And then another section I always try to have every day is a trade wisdom quote. And they could come from anywhere, and I try to relate these things to it. But Here's a trade wisdom quote for you. Shortcuts cut careers short. And here's the truth behind that. In construction, pressure is constant. We have deadlines every day. We've got to be this far along in the scope of work at the end of the day. We have budgets. We've got to make sure that we stay in budget, whether it's labor, materials, rentals. We have budgets that we have to maintain. And then there's expectations. We have expectations in our workers. We have expectations in our vendors and our employers, our GCs, our owners have expectations in us. And shortcuts can look like solutions, but shortcuts remove safety layers. And once those layers are gone, you're exposed. Make sure you take the right way. Do it right. And you'll be rewarded with efficiency, and you'll be rewarded with getting the job done timely. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. You let me know about the shortcuts. How many times have you been asked to take a shortcut? And how many times did you take that shortcut? And how many times did you refuse to take a shortcut because of the quality of work that would be produced or the safety of yourself or your coworkers was at risk? So let me know. I'd like to hear from you. I'm in the demolition business. Been in the demo business a long time. And when I go to demo a building, more often, a lot of times, the reason the building is being demoed, and it could be because they're bringing in new buildings and it doesn't fit the landscape anymore. It doesn't fit the use of the community anymore. But some of the time it's because of a safety item where a contractor didn't follow proper procedures 20 years ago. Okay. Put in the footing. The footing wasn't put in correctly or was engineered wrong, and it was failing and causing structural failure, which was a hazard. The building could collapse. The building could fall. And the demolition contractor had to come in, and the engineering says, hey, you can fix it, but it's going to cost this much. Or you can demo it and build new, and it costs you this much. And by the time you consider all aspects of it, old HVAC systems, they fail and get to be more expensive. Plumbing systems, they have been jerry-rigged or maneuvered or modified, and they're not performing well, and the maintenance cost is starting to rise to a point where there's some considerations on whether or not they want to demo the building and build anew and get lower cost, to maintain the building in an effort for or get higher rents for a newer build. And those are decisions that developers and owners and all that make. But the point being that I have seen shortcuts that were exposed after 20 years or 15 years or even shorter than that, 10 years, where it cost a great deal. The building had to be removed because of an engineering flaw or somebody took a shortcut, didn't put in the right foundation, and they didn't follow the plan. And it generated a hazard. Uh-oh. So anyway, I had the opportunity to demo buildings because somebody didn't follow the plan. All right. Well, we're getting close to winding it down. Once again, we've been talking about scaffolding this morning. And on the channel this week, let me see if I can point to that right there on the other channel. I have a channel that's dedicated to toolbox safety topic and safety training. And this week, we're in the midst of a 12-part series on Subpart M, OSHA Subpart M, which is a prerequisite for the OSHA 10 and OSHA 30. You got to cover it in those classes to get that OSHA 10 or OSHA 30. So if you've got a relatively young guy, new guy, who's just coming into the trades and is not very familiar with all the safety aspects. He's been trained on technical, but not safety. And you're coming into a job and there's some safety concerns. You can send him to that channel, or you could use the channel to train yourself, to train your guys. You could just, in the training room, plug me in and play the safety topic that's of concern. And with each one of those safety videos, I include the script in the description, so you could copy, paste, and print that out and take it to the job site with you and give that talk directly. That's all. I'm just sharing the information to develop a safer workforce across the country, because we're in the midst, I believe, of a great revival in this country. We got a choice. We can either have a great revival or we can continue the decline. And I don't want to see a decline in our culture and civilization for the benefit of my grandchildren. I don't want to see a world worse than what we have now. I want to see a world better for our children. And part of that is building new buildings, taking down the old, putting in more efficient, managing our resources. But anyway, on the channel this week, we're talking about scaffolding. Scaffolding and the fall protection that has to be associated with working on scaffolds. And we'll cover, and I'll put this out on Friday. We'll cover the proper setup, guardrail requirements, safe access, some of the common hazards associated with scaffold. And this ties directly into the OSHA Subpart M with some real-world applications, because knowing the rules is one thing, and applying them is what keeps you safe. Anyway, that's on the channel this week. And I think I've got 200, 300, 230. I don't know. I got a bunch of videos on that. I've been doing it for a long time now, 7, 10 years. I don't know. Anyway, I think I've got, I don't even know how many followers are on that channel. 700, 800. I don't know. So whoever uses that resource, man, I hope it does some good. Let me know if you ever been on the channel, and let me know. Send me a comment or in the chat, and let me know that if you've been on my channel and seen that stuff. I'm always looking for inputs. If there's a particular safety concern or a toolbox talk you'd like to see that hasn't been put out there, I would sure like to know about it, and I'd like to be able to provide it. I commit several hours a week to putting out a video on that channel, and like I say, I don't want to seem stale and old, so if you've got something that you'd like to see that I can provide for you, I sure would like to hear about it. All right, we got just a few more minutes here. I am certainly glad you came to visit with me this morning. As we wrap it up, remember, stay faithful in the small things. Stay disciplined in your work. And if you're working on some scaffold, stay aware of that scaffolding. Make sure it's properly inspected and put together right. Make sure that a competent person has inspected it. Look for that green tag. Plan the work. Get that PTP out and use that thing every day for every task. Protect your crew and look out for each other, because the goal is simple. Everybody goes home. Keep it safe, timely, and efficient. And I want to say thanks for spending your Monday morning with me. And as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next time.
It's Monday morning. Time to go to work. Blue collar worker, time to wake up and roll. Get that coffee in your system, get your mind and your soul. Boots by the doorway, hard hat riding shotgun. Sun ain't even up yet, but the day's already begun. Steel toes hit the gravel, cold air fills your lungs. Another day to build it right, another job to get done. No shortcuts taken, no easy road we choose. We earn every dollar, got too much pride to lose. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the site and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America great again. No desk or office space for us, no climate control routine. We work in dirt, steel, and concrete, where real lives lived and seen. Using our heads, hands, and backs, every move has got a cost. Measured cuts and steady hands, no room for getting lost. Blueprints in the morning light, changing plans by noon, solving problems on the fly, getting it done real soon. Weather don't stop nothing, rain, cold, or blazing heat, we show up ready every day and stand on our own 2 feet. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the side and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America